Should be 8/27. I didn't change the date, but I got it. Okay.
All right. Ready when you are.
Hit it.
All right. 3, 2, 1. Hey there, Marvel fans. Did Nick Fury keep a secret supply of hope in one of his bases?
Is Hawkeye a fan of British bacon? I'm sorry, man. I had a tickle in my throat and I tried to make it before I got there. Sorry.
It's all good. Three, 2, 1. Hey there, Marvel fans. Did Nick Fury keep a secret supply of hope in one of his bases?
Is Hawkeye a fan of British Bake Off?
Who isn't? Infinity Countdown begins.
All this and more on this week's episode of the 6 Months Behind podcast.
You gonna make it?
Dude, my sinuses blew up right as soon as I got home.
That's happened to me the last week or so. I don't know what's going on.
Yep, here we go.
Three, 2, 1.
What is up? This is the 6 Month Behind podcast for the week of 8/27/18. I am Pat.
And I'm Sean.
And this week we are Paul Feinbaum and Colin Cowherd is back. And it's just, there's like comic books and the geek stuff. And then there's college football. And there you go. That's just the way it is. How we doing, brother?
I'm good, dude. How are you?
I am doing well, man. College football's back, brother. Both their teams won, so what's there not to be good about?
Dude, Alabama won well. Auburn did pretty well. They won their game. UAB blew out whoever it was they played. It was a good week in college football. Tennessee lost. Yeah.
I was gonna say Tennessee won the SEC won every game it played out of conference except Tennessee lost. So there you go.
Yeah.
Tennessee didn't hold up their end of the
losing.
Yeah.
Even though you reside in the state of Tennessee.
I like their former coach, guy by the name of Butch Jones. I don't know where he went wrong, man. I don't. And I like Jeremy Pruitt, and I think he's going to bring it around, but it's going to take him a while.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm fine with that because, I don't like Tennessee.
We didn't have time to discuss this. When you and I stopped speaking on the phone, the Gary Parrish show came back on a radio sports talk show here in Memphis, and Hugh Freeze was on there. And I have disliked Hugh Freeze for several years because of his arrogance. And the last year and a half have made him a very humble man.
It should have.
It did.
Given the circumstances that happened about a year ago, it should have.
It did, and we're obviously not getting into details here, but it did, and it was nice to hear that he apologized and he was humble, and yeah, it was cool.
At least he's trying to appear that way anyway.
No, I think he was sincere, man. I mean, I there's a difference between Urban Meyer or Rick Pitino faking it and Hugh Freeze being sincere, and I think he was being sincere,
dude. And a lot of people applauded Maryland for, the show of solidarity that they did for the one of their teammates that died, and that's nice and all, but is anybody going to be held accountable for the fact that the coaching staff basically killed a kid?
They have fired the coaching staff, the head coach. They fired the trainers. They have fired a couple of the coaches that were there to practice. And for those who don't know, what effectively happened was the kid had a heat stroke. Yeah, he had 106 fever. The problem was from the moment the staff determined that he had a heat stroke, that he was having physical problems, until they called the EMTs, the paramedics, was an hour. Not before the paramedics got there, but before they decided to call the EMTs was an hour, which is just ludicrous. I mean, it's just, I had a buddy who was a football coach, and we were visiting over the weekend, and he and I were talking about it. He was just like, they had a kid last year, and there was like, they got too hot. There were coaches running all over the field, grabbing every ice bucket, dumping it on top of the kid, and two of the coaches were calling 911 at the same time. And it was the instant they knew that the kid was even close to having a heat stroke.
Yeah.
That's how serious it is, man.
And I've heard of other things at Maryland in particular where the culture of within the football team and the coaching staff is pretty toxic. You're talking coaches always kind of try to use negative verbal language to motivate the team. And I don't have a problem with that, but there's a line, and at some point it becomes verbal harassment and abuse. And dude, some of the things that those players have said about what coaches have said to them are insane. And I love college football. I have always loved college football, but that incident, the whole Urban Meyer thing, everything going on in Missouri, you had Penn State a few years ago. You've got to start reining this stuff in.
And that's something that is widespread among all college athletics, not just college football. Dude,
yeah,
all athletics in general.
Yeah.
It's all of it in general. And it's just you have to, and coaches are having to adapt. And you have guys like Nick Saban and Gus Malzahn who are adapting, and guys like the guy at North Carolina, Larry Treadora.
I don't know.
Who's not adapting, and feels that the new rules being instituted in college football are leading to the decline of America.
Yeah, he went off at media days about how changing the rules of football will lead to the decline of the country and the planet.
Yes, that is what he said.
That dude's real special.
He is special. He's going to be special when employed soon.
He ought to be for saying that. I mean, like we said, it's not just college football, it's all of athletics. From collegiate badminton to the NFL and the NBA. And it's something that they have gotten away with it in the past, and it's been overlooked in the past, but we've moved into an era where that's no longer the case.
What's the idiot swimmer that was at the Olympics and did some stupid stuff? Was it Ryan Lochte? Yeah,
it was.
He committed another act of stupidity a couple of weeks ago, don't you?
Of course he did.
He doping is one of the most serious things that you do in the Olympics, okay, or in any sport really, because it has to do with blood transfusions and IVs, and you it's basically trying to mask what's in your body anyway. He posted a picture on Instagram and Twitter that showed him taking an IV, and it showed the picture of the IV bag, and everybody was like, buddy, that's illegal. And he got suspended. That is just, you can't make up that level of stupidity.
I was a teenager as social media was becoming a thing. Many of our listeners may or may not have ever heard of things like LiveJournal and MySpace. That was the big thing when I was in high school. YouTube was invented in 2005. I would have been a sophomore in high school at the time. Twitter didn't come around until 2009. Facebook, even when I was in high school, Facebook was strictly for college students. Instagram didn't exist yet. But even then, I understood you don't put certain things on the internet.
My plan was to keep, when I was committing acts of stupidity in my younger years, my plan was to keep the world from knowing that I was committing acts of stupidity, not publicize them in any shape, form, or manner. and just putting it on the internet is just I don't even know how dumb it is, man. I'm at a loss of words to describe the stupidity, the stupidity and idiocy of doing it. It just, you know,
and it makes you wonder: did he not understand what he was doing?
I guess not, man. I don't know.
I can swim real good, but I ain't real good on the book smarts. I mean, come on.
I know, man.
Because I grew up in an age where you didn't put your information on the internet. You know, if you go to my Twitter page or my Instagram, it's my name. And I grew up in a time where you did not do that.
I know.
And it wasn't just because I was young at the time, because I didn't even have internet or a computer in the house until I was 12 or 13. But that was just the internet culture at the time, is you didn't expose any information about you. Now it's completely reversed. And we're seeing the consequences of it with stuff like this.
Yes.
And the stuff we see on Facebook all the time where it's like, Becky bought a Coke Zero and is having a great day. Good job, Becky. I don't care. I also don't care about the 106 pictures of your kid you put on Facebook today. Not that your kid's not great and all, but I didn't need to see 106 pictures of it, particularly the one where you're changing his dirty diaper.
Did you see the story about the woman in Washington, D.C. yesterday?
Yeah.
It turned out today they announced that she's actually been off her meds for schizophrenia for 2 weeks. I would never have known. For those who haven't seen it, Google woman attacking a Greyhound bus.
Oh, and that's not the story I thought you were referring to.
No.
Oh, I'm in the dark.
This Greyhound bus and this lady driving a small car apparently the wouldn't or couldn't let her over. So she stops in front of the bus, gets a tire iron out of the back of her trunk, and just starts smashing all the windows